At a certain level of wealth, travel stops being movement and becomes strategy. When your net worth ranges from hundreds of millions to over $3 billion, a flight is no longer transportation, it is control over time, security, and global influence. Private jets worth $70 million, yachts chartered at $4 million per week, villas hidden from public maps. Watch until the end to see which billionaire uses travel not just for luxury, but to quietly expand her empire across continents. Oprah Winfrey, travel as power and philanthropy. Power does not announce itself, it departs quietly from a private runway. When your net worth stands at approximately $2.88 billion, travel is no longer a luxury upgrade, it becomes operational infrastructure. Oprah Winfrey does not wait in terminals, does not negotiate boarding groups, does not surrender schedule control. She moves aboard a $70 million Gulfstream G650, an aircraft engineered for range, discretion, and speed. With a flight capability of nearly 7,000 nautical miles, it allows seamless movement between Montecito, Maui, Chicago, New York, and Johannesburg without interruption. At this altitude, time is not measured in hours saved, it is measured in leverage gained. But aviation is only one layer. For private retreats, strategy often shifts to water. Chartering vessels valued around $300 million creates floating environments free from paparazzi optics and external surveillance. A superyacht is not simply leisure. It is a controlled ecosystem, secure meeting space, confidential conversation zone, and sanctuary from public narrative. In circles where influence carries risk, privacy is insurance. On land, the pattern continues. Ultra-exclusive properties, such as Aman Resorts and Four Seasons private estates, provide not only $10,000 per night overwater villas in the Maldives, but gated anonymity. These properties are designed to shield high-profile guests through discreet entrances, private butlers, and restricted access wings. Luxury here is not ostentation, it is invisibility wrapped in marble. Yet the most revealing aspect of her travel is not indulgence, it is intention. Oprah's repeated journeys to South Africa are not ceremonial appearances. They are operational oversight for the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls, an institution representing tens of millions of dollars in long-term philanthropic investment. When she boards that Gulfstream for Johannesburg, it is not vacation, it is governance. Billionaires who understand legacy treat philanthropy with the same seriousness as boardroom expansion. Behind the scenes, each trip involves logistical layers rarely discussed publicly. Aviation crews, security assessments, diplomatic coordination, and local infrastructure alignment create a quiet machinery that supports high-value mobility. At this scale, even movement requires management. What makes this architecture compelling is the fusion of luxury and sovereignty. A $70 million jet provides speed, a $300 million yacht provides discretion, a $10,000 per night villa provides seclusion, but philanthropy provides narrative control. It reframes wealth from accumulation to purpose. The deeper pattern is clear: mobility equals autonomy. When one controls flight paths, retreat spaces, and international access points, influence expands beyond geography. Travel becomes an extension of empire. The question now is whether such meticulously engineered movement is primarily about comfort or about sustaining power across continents. Share your thoughts below. Rihanna, business expansion through mobility. Expansion does not happen from a desk. It happens at 40,000 feet. With an estimated net worth of $1.4 billion, Rihanna does not travel for leisure alone. She moves to sustain a machine valued at billions. Her empire is anchored by Fenty Beauty, valued at approximately $2.8 billion, a brand that redefined inclusivity in cosmetics and generated hundreds of millions in annual revenue. But global beauty dominance requires physical presence. Market entries, retail negotiations, investor meetings, and supply chain recalibrations cannot always be delegated. In her world, mobility equals momentum. Private aviation becomes operational necessity. Chartering a Gulfstream or Bombardier aircraft at $10,000 to $15,000 per hour ensures schedule sovereignty. Commercial terminals introduce delay, unpredictability, and exposure. A charter jet eliminates friction. It allows overnight transatlantic transitions between Los Angeles, Paris, Dubai, and Lagos with strategic precision. In industries where timing determines retail placement and partnership alignment, losing 12 hours can cost millions of dollars in opportunity. But air travel is only the first layer. On water, the scale shifts again. Mediterranean yacht charters costing up to $500,000 per week provide controlled environments for brand storytelling. A super yacht becomes more than leisure. It transforms into a floating studio. Product shoots, curated content, influencer collaborations, and high-net-worth networking unfold in a setting insulated from paparazzi chaos. Social media posts generated from these voyages do not simply display luxury, they drive engagement across an audience exceeding 150 million followers. Engagement converts into brand visibility. Visibility converts into revenue. Yet the most revealing movements are not European summer escapes, they are the repeated returns to Barbados. Cultural loyalty remains a strategic anchor. Through the Clara Lionel Foundation, Rihanna channels millions of dollars into education, disaster relief, and climate resilience initiatives. These trips are layered with philanthropy and identity preservation. Global billionaire status does not erase origin, it amplifies responsibility. Maintaining visibility in Barbados reinforces authenticity, and authenticity strengthens brand durability. There is also the unspoken tension of global market volatility. When 2024 presented challenges in the Chinese cosmetics sector, agility became critical. Efficient global travel allowed direct oversight, recalibration of retail partnerships, and diversification into emerging African markets. Expansion into multiple African countries required on-ground visibility. At this scale, boardroom decisions intersect with runway logistics. Behind every movement lies infrastructure, rarely discussed publicly. Aviation crews, international security coordination, legal teams navigating cross-border compliance, all form the silent backbone of billionaire mobility. Luxury is visible, logistics are invisible. What appears glamorous is, in reality, strategic architecture. A $2.8 billion beauty empire cannot operate passively. It demands constant recalibration across continents. Travel becomes the bloodstream of enterprise. In this world, jets are not indulgence, yachts are not escape. Movement is capital deployment in motion. Beyonce, touring empire on a global scale. The stage lights may fade after the final encore, but the real machinery of power moves long before the curtain rises. With a net worth approaching $1 billion, Beyonce does not travel as an artist chasing applause. She travels as the architect of a global revenue engine. The Renaissance World Tour generated $579 million, placing it among the highest-grossing tours in music history. But ticket sales are only the visible surface. Beneath it lies a logistical empire, cargo planes transporting stage structures weighing hundreds of tons, advanced security teams sweeping venues days before arrival, contract negotiations finalized in private airspace before landing in the next continent. At this level, touring is not performance, it is infrastructure. Mobility begins in the sky. The Bombardier Global 7500, capable of flying nearly 7,700 nautical miles without refueling, becomes more than transportation. It is a sealed executive suite above commercial airspace. Inside, strategy meetings unfold mid-flight. Creative direction shifts in real time. Family travels in protected privacy, shielded from terminals and cameras. The operating costs, often estimated in the thousands of dollars per hour, are minor compared to the value of uninterrupted control. When your schedule generates hundreds of millions of dollars, delay is risk. On water, the scale intensifies. Chartering the 6-foot Flying Fox super yacht at approximately $4 million per week is not a vacation impulse. It is a calculated retreat. The vessel includes a 1-2-meter swimming pool, spa facilities, multiple decks, and accommodations for dozens of guests. In that floating environment, privacy becomes absolute. There are no backstage leaks, no hotel corridors lined with lenses. A superyacht allows decompression between global tour legs, but it also doubles as a strategic venue for relationship building. Ultra-high net worth circles converge quietly in these spaces where conversations are not recorded and alliances are not announced. On land, exclusivity remains constant. Overwater villas in the Maldives, priced between $2,000 and $10,000 per night, offer isolation engineered into architecture. Security is layered, staff are vetted, and access points are controlled. For a family building a dynasty that spans music, fashion, film, and investment, seclusion is not indulgence, it is preservation. Generational wealth requires protection from overexposure. Yet what remains most compelling is how travel reinforces legacy. Touring cities across Europe, North America, and Asia expands not only revenue streams, but cultural imprint. Each sold-out arena strengthens brand equity valued in hundreds of millions of dollars. Each global stop feeds streaming platforms, merchandise ecosystems, and licensing partnerships. Movement sustains momentum. Behind the glamour lies a disciplined choreography. Aviation, logistics, maritime coordination, security architecture, and contractual precision. Nothing is spontaneous. Every destination serves a function, revenue, restoration, or reinforcement of influence. In this universe, mobility is not about escape, it is about expansion. The next chapter reveals how oil, wealth, and hospitality empires redefine travel on a different continent altogether. Folorunso Alakija, Oil Billionaire Mobility. Oil does not move quietly, neither does the wealth built on top of it. Folorunso Alakija operates in a different dimension of mobility, one powered not by entertainment or consumer brands, but by energy flowing beneath the ocean floor. With an estimated net worth of approximately $1 billion, her influence is tied to a 60% stake in the Abami oil field, a deep-water asset off the coast of Nigeria, producing between 200,000 and 250,000 barrels per day at peak capacity. That scale of output does not simply generate revenue, it generates geopolitical relevance. Mobility for her is not optional, it is operational. She travels aboard a $46 million Bombardier Global Express XRS, an aircraft engineered for long-range, non-stop international flight. With a range exceeding 6,000 nautical miles, it allows direct movement between Lagos, London, Dubai, and key financial capitals without refueling delays. In industries where oil prices fluctuate daily and contracts shift with global markets, responsiveness matters. A single meeting can impact agreements worth tens of millions of dollars. But air travel is only the visible layer. Her real estate footprint extends into one of the most exclusive addresses in Europe, a $12 million residence at One Hyde Park in London, a development synonymous with ultra-high net worth ownership and fortified privacy. One Hyde Park is not simply luxury housing. It is a financial fortress built with reinforced security infrastructure, underground parking vaults, and concierge systems designed to protect individuals whose wealth carries both admiration and risk. For someone operating in the energy sector, security is inseparable from status. Her travel corridor between Nigeria, London, and Dubai reflects strategic triangulation. Nigeria anchors extraction, London anchors finance, Dubai anchors capital mobility and global trade alignment. Each location serves a distinct function within a larger economic architecture. Travel becomes the connective tissue between oil production, legal frameworks, banking relationships, and philanthropic oversight. Faith also shapes her trajectory. Unlike celebrity moguls who monetize visibility, Alakija's public persona remains restrained. Luxury exists, but it is calibrated. High-end hotels in Dubai, such as the Ritz-Carlton, provide executive privacy rather than spectacle. Travel often integrates philanthropic work through the Rose of Sharon Foundation, which channels resources toward widows and orphans. At this level, philanthropy is not charity branding, it is legacy design. Behind the scenes lies complexity rarely acknowledged. Oil concessions involve regulatory negotiations, environmental oversight, cross-border financing structures, and currency exposure. Movement between continents is not glamorous, it is governance. Aviation crews, legal teams, security consultants, and financial advisors form a silent ecosystem ensuring continuity. In her world, a $46 million jet is not indulgence, it is time insurance. A $1 billion fortune is not static wealth, it is capital tied to volatile global commodities. Energy wealth demands vigilance, and vigilance demands mobility. Sheila Johnson and Janice Bryant Howroyd, quiet billionaire travel. Power does not always announce itself with noise. Sometimes it arrives quietly on a private runway before dawn. Sheila Johnson built her fortune by understanding that ownership is leverage. With a net worth approaching $1 billion, she does not travel for spectacle, she travels for control. As the founder of Salamander Hotels and Resorts, her movements across the United States and the Caribbean are not ceremonial visits, they are inspections. A Gulfstream Give SP becomes a mobile command center, allowing her to land near equestrian estates in Virginia, coastal properties in Florida, and island resorts in the West Indies without relying on commercial timetables. When a single hospitality asset represents hundreds of millions of dollars in long-term value, presence matters. Her flagship property spans hundreds of acres and carries a Forbes 5-star distinction. That rating is not decorative. It influences pricing power, investor perception, and brand hierarchy within the global luxury market. When Johnson steps onto one of her properties, she is not simply reviewing decor, she is auditing service precision, revenue per available room, and operational culture. A single percentage increase in occupancy across multiple resorts can translate into millions of dollars annually. Travel, therefore, becomes an instrument of margin protection. Unlike celebrities whose wealth rides on trends, Johnson's empire depends on consistency. The Gulfstream is not excess, it is efficiency. Each flight compresses geographic distance between assets valued collectively in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Each landing reinforces centralized oversight in an industry where subtle declines in service quality can erode brand equity. Janice Bryant Howroyd operates in a different arena, yet her mobility is equally disciplined. As the founder of Act One Group, a workforce solutions company generating up to $3.4 billion in annual revenue, her empire stretches across 33 countries and serves more than 17,000 clients. In staffing and talent logistics, timing defines profitability. Contracts must be secured before competitors intervene. Regulatory frameworks shift without warning. A delayed negotiation can mean losing a multinational account worth tens of millions of dollars. Her private aviation strategy mirrors that urgency. Flights connect Los Angeles headquarters to New York financial hubs, London corporate clients, and European expansion sites. The cabin becomes a strategy chamber where legal briefings and acquisition models unfold mid-air. Unlike flamboyant displays of wealth, her travel style is intentionally restrained. When in London, she favors Claridge's not for publicity, but for discretion and proximity to financial districts. In Tuscany, private villas replace 5-star lobbies, offering privacy for family while shielding high-level discussions from public corridors. Behind this disciplined movement lies a philosophy shaped by resilience. Howroyd began with $1,500 in startup capital, yet scaled a firm into a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. That origin story shapes how she spends. Luxury exists, but it is purposeful. Jets protect time, hotels protect privacy, villas protect legacy. Both women understand a principle often overlooked in billionaire narratives. Mobility safeguards empire stability. Assets valued in billions of dollars cannot be managed from a distance without risk. In hospitality and global staffing, oversight must be physical, strategic, and immediate. Their travel patterns are not indulgence, they are infrastructure. And infrastructure, when quietly maintained, becomes the difference between fleeting wealth and enduring power. Serena Williams and modern power travel. Champions do not retire, they reposition. When Serena Williams stepped away from professional tennis, she did not step away from power. With an estimated net worth of approximately $300 million, she shifted from earning prize money to allocating capital. The transformation was quiet but strategic. Through Serena Ventures, she invested in more than 66 startups, many of them early-stage companies that traditional venture capital once overlooked. In this new arena, mobility became as critical as it had been during Grand Slam seasons. Private aviation now serves a different purpose. The jet is no longer only a means to reach tournaments, it is a bridge between boardrooms in Silicon Valley, tech hubs in Austin, and financial circles in New York. A single investment round can determine the valuation trajectory of a startup worth tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. Timing matters, presence matters. Flying privately protects confidentiality during negotiations that may involve equity stakes capable of multiplying into 9-figure returns. Her travel philosophy blends capital discipline with lifestyle branding. Yacht excursions across the Mediterranean are not merely leisure displays. They are curated environments where founders, investors, and advisors gather informally. On deck, conversations move beyond tennis legacy and into equity percentages, exit strategies, and long-term valuation modeling. A Mediterranean charter, often priced in the hundreds of thousands of dollars per week depending on vessel class, becomes a floating strategy summit rather than a holiday. Luxury accommodations reflect similar calibration. Stays at destinations such as the Four Seasons Maldives, where villas can command several $1,000s per night, provide controlled privacy. Security teams ensure discretion. Family accompanies her, reinforcing a narrative of balance. Yet beneath the surface lies deliberate positioning. In venture capital, reputation compounds returns. Investors who demonstrate stability, intelligence, and long-term vision attract stronger deal flow. Every visible element of travel reinforces that image. Serena's pivot from athlete to capital allocator represents a broader shift in wealth psychology. Prize money once defined her earnings ceiling. Venture ownership removes that ceiling. Equity in a single unicorn can surpass entire seasons of tournament winnings. If even a fraction of her portfolio companies achieve valuations in the billions of dollars, her net worth could scale dramatically beyond the current $300 million mark. What makes this transition compelling is not extravagance, but recalibration. She understands leverage. Athletic dominance provided brand capital. Brand capital opened access to founders. Access opened equity. Equity opens exponential upside. Travel, therefore, becomes a signal. Private jets indicate efficiency. Mediterranean yachts signal network intimacy. Island resorts communicate privacy and stability. Every movement reinforces the evolution from competitor to investor. The next chapter in modern wealth will not be defined by trophies, but by ownership stakes hidden inside cap tables. If you had $300 million to deploy, would you choose security or risk? Comment below which strategy you believe builds the stronger legacy. What we have seen is not simply luxury travel, it is mobility engineered as power. First, private aviation is not indulgence, it is time compression. When a woman controls a $70 million jet or charters at $15,000 per hour, she eliminates friction between markets, negotiations, and opportunities. Time becomes an asset class. Second, location equals leverage. Whether it is oil fields producing 200,000 barrels per day, billion-dollar beauty expansions, or global tours generating $579 million, travel aligns directly with revenue engines. Movement sustains empire. Third, privacy is currency. Yachts valued at $400 million, private villas costing $10,000 per night, and layered security infrastructure protect family, brand, and negotiation space. Visibility is curated, access is controlled. If you appreciate deep dives into how billionaires convert wealth into influence, consider liking and subscribing. In Part 2, we will explore how the richest women outside entertainment use global real estate and private aviation to secure generational dominance.